Peace and love, brothers and sisters. Today is Mercury Day, which we know is the day of the messenger. I just wanted to come to you on this great day to read once again another message and a sign to those English people, the descendants of the Kingdom of England, Great Britain, who were scattered to the four corners of the world, mostly during the time of the transatlantic slave trade, or we can say at least going to the colonization of the so-called territory we call Americas, which they call the New World, which we know anciently was called Albion, which means the world above, or you can call it the West, which was known as the land of the dead. However you want to describe it, it is what it is. We're over here. But I'm going to go ahead and read this article from Dr. Otto, and is letting you know like what happened to the lost tribes of Israel, the Israelites. And today's going to show you, based off of the same plight, the same situation that happened to the Israelites, is what's going on to you English people over here in the territories that you call the British American colonies, aka the Americas, and so on and so forth. And they're going to say a lot about British in here, but they're also going to tell you that it's the English people. So once again, we've been telling you, messengers constantly come and go, especially if the people don't want to listen. But I want you to see it from the horse's mouth. Peace. Once again, brothers and sisters, this is your brother Dion de Belmont from the illustrious noble house of Belmont. And like I was speaking earlier in the intro about the article, The English as God's Chosen People by Dr. Otto Kuntzemueller. I'm going to go ahead and read it. Also, too, I want you to, take notice that this was written back in 1913, if I'm not mistaken, during the time when they had a European conflict, or what they called the European War. And this article was written to the New York Times, if I'm not mistaken. But when you get a chance, you'll be able to pull it up and read it for yourself. And I want you to pay attention to the theme in regards to the English people, because of what was going on throughout history. Even though this was written during the time before the World War I, World War II, I'm speaking in regards to who we are in continuity since the beginning of the identity of the English people, and how that ties us to the Israelites in regards to God's chosen people. All right, so let's get started. It says, in his book, The Foundation of the 19th Century, published in 1899, Houston Stewart Chamberlain makes reference to the devastation of Israel's kingdom by the Assyrians in the year 720 before Christ, and the carrying into captivity of the inhabitants in a short time became intermixed with the natives, and as a consequence disappeared entirely. In a footnote he adds, they vanished so completely that many theologians, even in our century, are bothering their heads with the question, what has become of the Israelites, since they cannot believe that 5/6 part of the people whom Jehovah had promised the whole earth should have disappeared without any ado. A shrewd mind even gathered from this that the 10 supposed lost tribes are the English of today. He was, besides, not at a loss to account for this discovery. This is the reason why 5/6 of the earth's surface belongs to the British, the balance to the Jews. Chamberlain points to 2 English works treating of this question. H.L. Lost Israel, Where Are They to Be Found? And Our Israelitish Origin, which are responsible for the fact that there are Anglo-Saxons who trace their genealogy back to the time of Moses. Chamberlain has known how to relegate this theological chimera to the realm of nonsense, and it is also nonsense that this should be taken for gospel truth. To what an extent this has been the case, the writer of this experience during his stay at Cairo toward the close of 1887. Here, the well-known Arabian courier Muhammad Hassan showed him a letter that he had received from an English manufacturer of armaments, George Nelson Walsh of Sheffield. Muhammad Hassan had served the Englishman during the latter's stay at Cairo, and, following his departure, had written him a letter which Mr. Walsh answered, and which contained, among other things, the following. Now I will tell you something. that concerns in particular the future of the Arab and the Englishman. God, Allah, as you call him, is so good that when he saw how the world was being ruled by badness, he grieved very much. He decided to show humanity the good and right way. For this purpose, he chose Abraham, one of the best persons that ever lived, and commanded him to teach men to love God, to neither lie nor cheat nor act dishonorable in any shape or manner. Abraham did his best. But what can a person do in a world full of bad people? God now decided that Abraham's descendants should be charged with teaching his will. Among other sons, Abraham had Isaac, and God commanded that Isaac's descendants should be teachers. Isaac, or Isaac, had two sons, Esau, from whom all the Arabs had descended, and Jacob, and decreed that Esau and his kin to come should continue to live a free, unrestrained life in the desert and be under no ruler. But Jacob was to be the teacher of righteousness. Jacob had 12 sons. All became teachers, and all their offspring became teachers of God's will. These 12 sons again had large families that increased to such an extent that from each family sprang a people, and in this way there came into existence 12 tribes. Came into existence 12 peoples. 10 of these 12 peoples withdrew from the others and called themselves Israel. The other two combined and called themselves Judah. In this way, there came about two peoples, those of the kingdom of Judah and those of the kingdom of Israel. These people were destined by God, or destined by God, to teach all mankind to love God and to treat their neighbors honorably. But instead of doing the will of God, they became bad and cruel, and while God sent many prophets, they did not want to give up their sin. Then God became very angry. He drove the people of the kingdom of Israel into captivity and declared that in the course of time they should forget that they were the children of Israel. He did promise them, however, that he would not entirely withdraw his favor from them. He would send them on wanderings and lead them to an island where they should find their home. After they had reached this place, they would become the mightiest people on earth. Learn to love God and teach the same to other nations, and then he would reveal to them that they were the long-lost people of the 10 tribes of Israel. The other kingdoms, composed of the 2 tribes of Judah, were just as godless as the people of Israel. For that reason, God sent the Romans to punish them and destroy Jerusalem with its magnificent temple. More than 1 million Jews, which is the name borne by the people of the kingdom of Judah, were killed. The remaining were sold as slaves throughout Europe. But God promised them that after a while they would once more be restored to Syria and Palestine. And now comes the remarkable part of my story. Scholars have searched the book of Daniel and other books where all these things are written, have found that the time for the realization of this is nigh. They have discovered that the English, as the great teachers of humanity, are the true and rightful descendants of the 10 tribes of Israel, that they live on an island, that they are the mightiest nation on earth, as had been prophesied would be the case. It reads further in the book of which I speak, that so soon as those of the kingdoms of Israel assume another name and drop the former, as was prophesied and has happened, namely the term English, they should reveal themselves to be the effect that they are the descendants of Israel and the brothers of Judah, and that they would then take steps to regain Palestine. And as soon as they had obtained it, they would have their brothers, the Jews, taken back to Palestine, and then the Jews and the English will become a great nation and would rule the world, and justice and righteousness will be spread into the ends of the earth. The beginning for this wonderful change on earth is already made. England obtained its protectorate over Palestine 9 years ago. Remember, this is in 1913 when they wrote this. So this is going probably all the way, if it's accurate, in the 1913, could possibly be going up to the late 1800s. But I'll have to look that up. Within a few years, perhaps in 2 or 3 years, it would have ownership of Egypt and Syria. A great war would take place in Europe, through which all nations except England will suffer. The Jews will be driven from all countries and will place themselves under the protection of England. The English will receive them with open arms as their long-lost brothers, equip them with everything, and send them to Palestine in large ships for the purpose of having them establish themselves in their own land. And God has said that after they have returned to their country, they will never again be driven out of there. In those days, remember, the time is near, the English, together with the Jews, will rule the whole world, and honor, peace, and contentment will be everywhere present. The Jews will be the first to rejoice through their connection with the English, and the Arabs the next. The writer has had occasion to discuss with many Germans married into well-known English families as well as with English acquaintances this remarkable letter of Mr. Walsh, and he has had confirmed that there is a general belief that the English are the descendants of the lost people of Israel and that they are God's people, chosen to rule the world. Al-Arum by John B. Kennedy. Out of the east the trumpet comes, and the roll of drums, the dreadful drums. Cries of glory and heroes' crowns, choking smoke of the tortured towns, wails of women and children's screams, tales of terror unknown to dreams. The halatus of the corpse-clad waste, a death dish cooked to the devil's taste. Above the havoc of matter and mind, as the fathers curse and the mothers weep. The salt of the dead men charge the wind, whisper, the souls of the dead men charge the wind, whisper, we see, but ye are blind. We are awake, and ye still sleep. The ego mimics a dream, drunk dove, and cools of love, elusive love. Ink-thumbed soldiers and paper guns, barnyard battles and ceaseless suns. Naughty navies to rule the ink, yet the coastlines will never shrink. Saucy armies to welcome war, still we wonder what strength is for. Purse proud, power to play Mars tricks. Was there ever a 76? Mark the meaning of Europe's fall, Asia still has a truth to tell. Seize for a moment the caterwaul, heed for a moment the future's call. Cain still grins in the core of hell.